Yeah, I've noticed that you've been avoiding 435 lately since you got slapped.
Now, for far too long, there have been comments saying, why isn't the FCC doing things about some of these bad actors on the amateur radio bands? And it turns out that we got a bit of a news update here on May 28th, 2026. Straight up calling out the unlicensed operation of radio. By the FCC, notice of unlicensed operation, the Federal Communications Commission received multiple complaints from licensees in the amateur radio service concerning an unlicensed radio station operating in 146.415 megahertz, a very curious frequency which we're going to come back to in a minute. It's part of the reason why I'm wearing a headset. And causing harmful interference to licensed operators in the amateur radio bands. Interesting. Multiple bands, so okay. On March 4th and March 6th, an agent from the Los Angeles office of the FCC's Enforcement Bureau, meaning they are doing investigations into amateur radio and some of the complaints people are making, conducted an investigation and determined, using direction-finding techniques, that the radio signals on the frequency 146.415, there it is again, were emanating from your residence in Bell, California. And they're calling out Jack right up there as being the person. On March 4th, the agents heard the operator make statements over the air, including "Jack is back," which identifies you as the operator. That's kind of funny when you're saying Jack is back and you're an unlicensed operator, and then there you go. They're investigating you. The timing was interesting. The commission records indicate that you do not have an amateur radio license and are not authorized to operate on 146.415. Radio stations, including those operating on 146.415, must be licensed by the FCC pursuant to the Communications Act. Yes, we know this. The only exception to this licensing requirement is for certain transmitters using or operating at a power level or mode of operation that complies with the standards established in Part 15 rules. Okay, so dude got caught operating without a license on an amateur radio simplex frequency. That's interesting. Why is that the interesting part of this? The agents found that the station at the Bell, California location was operating at a power level that exceeds the level permitted in Part 15. Therefore, this station was operating in violation of Section 301 of Section 19. Now, what's interesting here is they mentioned Part 15, I'm assuming because they were not licensed for amateur radio, and the device that the individual was using was not certified under Part 15. At least that's what the statement is here. The agents found that the station at the Bell, California location was operating at a power level that exceeds the level permitted by 15. Therefore, this station is operating in violation to Sections 301 and Section 1.903 alpha. You are hereby warned the operation of radio transmitting equipment without a valid radio station authorization constitutes a violation of federal law cited above and could be subject to the operator's severe penalties, including but not limited to substantial monetary fines, in rem arrest action against the offending radio equipment, and criminal sanctions, including imprisonment. Good Lord. Has it written imprisonment before? Because unlicensed operation creates a danger of interference to important radio communication services and may subject the operator to severe penalties. This letter emphasizes the importance of complying strictly with these legal requirements. And then it looks like they have 10 days from the date of this notice to respond. Now, so let's focus in on what the complaint was here, is that there was an unlicensed individual on 146.415. That's a part of the simplex frequency. Simplex as in walkie-talkie style, meaning I pick up the radio, I transmit on that frequency, and somebody can listen to me and they can transmit back. Now, I didn't understand this because I was like, well, often you'll hear somebody complaining about repeater use and a number of other things, or somebody was doing some bad stuff, harassing people on a repeater, etc. I didn't get what's going on, so I hopped on to 146.415. In fact, I'm waiting in case somebody actually comes back on that frequency. And sure enough, I gave my call sign and said, hey, any amateur radio stations out here monitoring, just to see if it was some watering hole on simplex I didn't know about. And then shortly thereafter, someone mentioned the 435 repeater.
that. Copy that.
Your audio sucks. Now you can prove that your receipt sucks. Transmit your receipt suck. Now, nothing like this shit. The melodious tones of the EVP.
Yeah, I've noticed that you've been avoiding 435 lately since you got bitch slapped.
Yeah, what you gonna do about it?
Well, I'm just gonna sit back, get some popcorn, and listen and laugh.
Go down there and clean this shit up. 14 on the watch, they all stop talking.
Roger that.
So it's possible, from the very limited evidence that I have, that this is some kind of 435 watering ground or watering hole where people go that don't want to talk on the 435 and they go on simplex, specifically 146.415. I was a little confused. And so, yeah, I guess the plot thickens here a bit in that they have the 435, which is, got its own problems. You can look up the 435 repeater in Southern California for more information on that. Oftentimes the comments have been like, if most of the bad actors just stay over there, it's kind of like let them live in their dumpster and have fun and no big deal. But if they're starting to venture out into simplex, 146.415, well, then we have a bit of a problem. It's kind of like Mos Eisley in Star Wars. As long as the hive of villainy just stays there, nobody really complains, I guess. But if you start venturing out, then there's a bit of an issue. So, yeah, 146.415, maybe it's because they weren't communicating through a repeater and they were just in the open on simplex and they could DF them. And the guy just said Jack is back. So, I don't know. Interesting. I did reach out to the FCC for comment, not like comment specifically on the nature of this, but as was mentioned on the report, that multiple complaints from licensees in the amateur radio service came in. And so I'm kind of curious, like maybe as a larger question of what are the best practices we should do as ham radio operators for helping the FCC and these enforcement or these investigation areas? I guess there's one in LA area, the Los Angeles Office of Enforcement. What do we do? Do we just capture audio evidence and track it with a date and time? Do we just do that and stack those files up and send it to the FCC? I'm kind of curious what they would recommend because they have an open reporting website, and I know amateur radio operators use it. So I guess if that's not going to stop, right? As long as that website exists, we know people are going to use it. And if we harken back a couple of years ago when Laura, who is I think the head of the FCC in the amateur radio space, mentioned that there are tons of frivolous reports that people do. What would be great is if she could say, hey, yes, fill out all this information, but in parallel, it would be great if you could do X, Y, and Z. So I did reach out. Maybe we will hear back. I hope we do. I'd love to have a bit more information here. But here's an example of the FCC going after an unlicensed person on the amateur radio bands, which is something I haven't seen in a little while, but we've now seen GMRS, CB, emergency responders. The FCC is picking up their enforcement, guys, across the board. So I think that's a good thing in general if we want productive use of the electromagnetic spectrum for radio frequency operations. Anyway, guys, I am Josh, KI6NAZ. I hope you like this quick little one because the news came in and I was very intrigued by the frequency, and that's what made me do this little bit of a deep dive. So I will talk to you real soon. Again, 73.